Good afternoon and welcome to Unfiltered. I am Carl Reed, former high school football coach in the state of Missouri and a former offensive lineman at Austin Peay State University.
And I'm Dixon, former general manager at the University of Maryland, director of scouting at Vanderbilt, 7-year NFL scouting vet with the Buffalo Bills, Gold Bill Mafia. Coach, it's time to get unfiltered.
Smoke and I are going to touch on the latest headlines in college football and tell you what's really going on. Who has the best running back group in college football? Is it Ohio State? A lot of debate here. Cornerbacks superseding edge rushers? Man, Smoke gonna have to unpack that. Colorado makes GPA history. Where does academics fit all of it into this? Do people really care about grade, Smoke? And remembering the greatest offensive lineman of all time, Mr. Larry Allen. Smoke, it's time. Who are you liking and swiping today?
Well, Coach Reed, let's start this off with who has the best running back room in the country. Let's get it started. Does Ohio State have the best running back room in the country? Coach, I'm going to say absolutely, and I like this.
Smoke, you agree with the tweet that Ohio State has the best running back unit in the country? Tell me why.
Well, understand this now. They have two running backs that's captured over 1,000 yards in a season. They've also have two guys that average over 5 yards per pop. And if you're doing math right, Carl, 2 times 5 is 10. So you give those guys the ball twice, you know what they're getting. First down, and it's chains are moving. Now, also, look at it like this. They have a quarterback that's unproven right now in the Big Ten. What's the best way to calm that quarterback down at the beginning of the year? You turn around, you hand that ball off, you use Chip Kelly's run game offense to have two backs in the backfield and get that quarterback settled down. So by the time that you get to the middle of the season, Will Howard, whoever's starting at Ohio State, will have a firm understanding of what to do, when to do it, when it comes time to Big Ten ball.
Smoke, we go back and forth a lot in football and we name outstanding running backs. You just talked about two in Henderson and Judkins at Ohio State. Why does it seem like the running back position is being devalued when you talk about in terms of what guys are making in NIL and the position of the guys going into the NFL draft?
Well, Carl, you got to look at it like this, Coach. I think the running backs are devaluing themselves by not creating a skill set that can't be taken off the field. Look at CMC, Christian McCaffrey. He's done an outstanding job of making sure that he brings value to himself in terms of being a 3-down runner and a 3-down back. On first down, second down, he can mix it up and get what you need to. On third down, he become a mismatch in the passing game, but also firm enough and understands blitz protection to pick up blitzes and become a factor. A lot of running backs are only doing one thing. You see them going through drills of changing direction, getting bigger, stronger, and faster, but that's not the value in the NFL or even in college. Your value is never becoming off the field. Make yourself into something that everyone wants. Create the value for yourself. Because the more that you become a first and a second down running back only, they're going to get another runner or another player on the field to get on there and get you off.
Ohio State has two running backs that rushed for 1,000 yards a season ago. It's been nearly 40 years since that has happened. What makes Judkins and Henderson so special?
Well, Carl, looking at these two, they're built similar, right? They're compact, low to the ground gravity runners with awesome contact balance. That's meaning on if they get hit, they have the balance to break tackles, but also what they have, Carl, they have the ability to score on any given play. Like I said, they average together over 5 yards per pop. They have the ability to create when it does not get blocked up, but Ohio State has a very good offensive line. And they also have Chip Kelly in their back pocket to make sure he creates abilities for them in the run game with two backs and also using a quarterback now to create three backs and have some of those gap schemes, outside zone schemes that's going to give a lot of linebackers cross eyes and will make those defensive coordinators in the Big Ten stay up all night. But their ability to create and also have value without the ball in their hand makes them that special. Carl, now I've given you all of my reasons for liking them. Who are you liking or who are you swiping in terms of running back room in the country?
I'm going to swipe on this conversation, Smoke. Ohio State right now, clear-cut leader. I don't think I could have said it any better than you. It's no need for us to go deeper into this topic.
Well, Carl, we just hit on a group that brought value to themselves. And now the group that devalued themselves is the running back position. But let's get to the point of the position group that's creating tremendous value for themselves. The wide receiver room. They are cashing in the market. Last Monday, the Brinks truck backed up to Justin Jefferson's house and dropped off a $140 million contract to Mr. Justin Jefferson. Now, what's that done, Carl? It's made him the highest paid receiver, but it's also created the market in NIL in college to say, hey, listen, where is this market going to go? And how fast is this going to grow? Justin just reset it in NFL at 140, 35 per year. Now, every one of those young kids at those camp, coach, you know that everybody want to play quarterback. Everybody's going to want to play receiver. And every NIL agent is going to go into every room, head coach's room, and pull up and say, hey, listen, the market has been reset. Now what are we going to do? So I like this topic, but let's unpack it.
Smoke, you know every receiver right now, when they saw their contract at every level, high school, college, and the pros, sent that to their agent. They sent it to their group chat. They want the money. It's a money position. Right now, how does this type of contract in the National Football League, Smoke, affect the NIL market at the collegiate level?
Well, we understand that this is a trickle-down effect, and it's a copycat world that we live in. And what's happening now is that the NIL agents are saying, okay, good. The NFL is understanding that the position of value is the receiver group. I just heard the San Francisco offensive line coach say, I can find an offensive lineman, but the hardest thing for me to do is find a player that can score with the ball in their hands. Running backs are being devalued. The receiver position is being valued because they give you an opportunity to score. And last time I checked, it's who has the highest score on the scoreboard that wins games.
When I was a high school coach, Smoke, I hated 7-on-7. When my players would go play on 7-on-7 teams, I probably was one of the early people that was against it. Was I outdated, Smoke? And how has 7-on-7 helped with the development of the wide receiver position the last several years?
Well, Coach, I already know you're outdated because you were still running that wing T offense. And I told you at your house that if you ever ran that wing T offense and Smoke would have showed up, I'm out of there. Not showing up a day for practice because I'm not running left to go vertical. But this is what 7-on-7 has done for the receiver group. They've shown those guys the ability to go out now and play against coverages, understanding how to defeat press, understanding how to sit in zone, run away in man, find holes, become a slot receiver, make yourself more comfortable and make yourself available to the quarterback. When you and I played, Coach, it was 7-on-7, and you have it's 1 or 2 weeks. Now it's year round. So I'm a firm believer in the more that you play, the more that you understand coverages, the more you understand zone, closed windows, open windows, when to settle against zone, run away from man, and understanding pass concept and groupings of pass concepts, zone concept put together. So these receivers, what they've done is they've put themselves in positions to grow cognitively, mentally, but physically and getting better. And that's what's increasing their value in terms of receiver position.
Smoke, I would have offset you at the wing back and we would have ran 646 crisscross. You would have scored every other time you touched the ball at least. You know that every time you throw a pass, a dove dies. So we're going to run the ball a little bit. As we continue the conversation about receivers and NIL, how has the receiver conversation, whether or not you're going to use an every down back versus situational guy, how has that changed roster construction? You're a former general manager at a Big Ten school. How are you constructing your roster with the newfound NIL system?
Well, you got to look at it like this, Coach. when you construct your roster, at the end of the day, you want to end up with 41 players on offense. So most rosters are constructed like this. You'd have 4 quarterbacks in. You'd have 4 running backs. Then you'd have 6 to 5 tight ends, 13 receivers on scholarship, and 16 offensive linemen on scholarship. Now, depending on type of offense that you run and understanding the value of running backs or the deep value of running backs, you might now only take 3 running backs, 2 tight ends, move a lot of those scholarships over to the offensive line. But now that majority of schools are running 3 receiver sets, they're going to now allocate scholarships now to the receiver position. So if I'm a parent or I'm a trainer or I'm a prospect out there, the position of need is wide receiver. The position of value we've seen from the NFL, NIL, and even in college right now, it's been the receiver position. If you look at it like this, look at Deebo Samuels. Deebo Samuels is basically a running back at times, a receiver at times, but he's also a mismatch for you. Gabe Davis was taken in the 3rd, 4th round by the Buffalo Bills. He was one of the hottest names on the free agency market just because he understood blocking and was physical enough to block. So now you didn't necessarily need a tight end. So he created 2 tight end formations, even though that he's a receiver. Now that's putting the defensive coordinator in a conflict position. How do I defend Deebo? How do I defend Gabe Davis? How do I defend the cheetah when he's in the backfield? So that's how the roster construction is going to change. And it's going to take some general managers and DPPs out there to start being forward thinkers in order for it to completely work. But I know that the wheels are turning because they're understanding scoring wins. And you're going to see a lot more offensive coaches getting hired and offensive coaches wanting that receiver position to ante up in terms of scholarship offers.
Smoke, I really like this topic. Justin Jefferson got paid. He put the work in. He got paid. Receivers, 7-on-7. It took me a long time to kind of warm up to that level of ball, but I have seen the benefit and how it's developed guys in the passing game. And it's like my guy always said, if you look good, you'll feel good. If you feel good, you'll play good. If you play good, they'll pay good. And that's what's happening with the wide receiver position right now, Smoke. You're seeing a lot of guys making big money, and that's a record-breaking contract. And it will have a lot of trickle down on the lower levels of football as you continue to have NIL, and high school states are also one by one approving NIL deals for high school players. Now, Smoke, we got to move into this next topic. We've been arguing about this back and forth on the phone, through text for the last week. Cornerbacks, edge rushers, the cornerback position you think might have exceeded the edge rusher. We got to unpack this conversation. Smoke, I like this one.
I know you do. So I'm gonna give you the floor first, Carl. Since you liked it, I'm gonna give you the floor. Now, have the cornerbacks superseded the edge rushers, in your opinion?
Not in my opinion. I don't think that it's easy to find an elite guy that can rush the passer. If you have an elite edge rusher that can put heat on the quarterback, you can get pressure on the quarterback with a 4-man rush. And if he's truly a transcendent player, you might even be able to get pressure with 3, allowing you to drop 7 in coverage, Smoke, 8 in coverage. Just a lot of things you can do on the back end if you've got a big-time guy that can rush the passer. When you don't have a pass rush, it forces you to do some things in your secondary. And if you are a little weaker at corner, but you got a guy that can make that quarterback get rid of the ball, you can put your DBs in better situations because that quarterback is not going to hold on to it long if you got a freight train running at him.
Now, I just educated you on 7-on-7, and you said you warmed up. Now you're going back into the ice box and cooling off by saying that edge. The word that you used was elite edge rushers. How many of those come around every so often? Not many. And we understand that football is being played in 11 personnel. That means 3 receivers, 1 tight end. Meaning you have to have 3 defensive backs on the football field in order to compete. We saw what the San Francisco 49ers struggled with, and we saw what the Kansas City Chiefs handled them with. Trent McDuffie, may have been the second best defensive player with the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's showing you that the position of need, and it's going to supersede your edge rushers, is the cornerback position. They just came up with a whole entire bracket for him in terms of the all-pro team with Trent McDuffie. He's a 12th guy. They made it into a specialized position of the nickelback. Now, you said you want these elite edge rushers. Tell me, how would you utilize these guys if you have two? Because you can't even find one, but you some way, somehow found two. Tell me how you utilize this.
Well, if you have two on the edge, you're going to go to a 4-down front, and you're going to play in wide nines or a 5 technique on the weak side, and you're going to allow them to get upfield and rush the passer. And if you can create that type of pressure from those two guys on the perimeter, you can double cover. You can double guys in the secondary. You can play guys deep and guys underneath. You can go to cover 6. You can go to cover 7. You can play hard quarters coverage. So there's a lot of things you can do on the back end, Smoke, if we have guys up front who can create a rush for the passer. And I think that it's easier to play defensively from my vantage point if you can add guys to the coverage instead of trying to add guys to pressure.
See, there you go again. You're seeing it from your point of view. And that's that 6-inch point of view. You up there battling each other in offensive, defensive line. But let me help you out. The game is being played in a passing league. So the guy that you need to confuse, because you're not going to get to the quarterback. Just quarterbacks are throwing it quick and they're going RPOs. You have to confuse the quarterback with coverage. So how I would utilize them is I would have my 5 or 6 defensive backs. So I'm going to go to nickel or dime, and I'm going to create pressure with that. I'm gonna send simulated pressures at you. So I'm gonna put 4 to one side. You think that 4s are coming from that side, and I'm gonna quickly flip them to the other side, making your quarterback now throw into a hot coverage where one of my guys again that can cover can catch it and score. So I would utilize pressure by bringing it from the secondary, creating combo coverages on the back end to confuse the most important guy on your team, which is the quarterback. And I understand that we're in the modern day. They are doing RPO. They're not giving you a chance to get to the quarterback.
Well, Smoke, that's fine if you can create that. But what happens when you don't confuse them or when you don't get home on the rush within 1.5 seconds and you give that quarterback an opportunity to process it? Those corners are in a load of trouble when they have to play deep field coverage, whether it be to the sideline or the middle of the field, and they do not have any pressure on the quarterback. And you are right, in the RPO situations, when you're reading flat defenders or when you're doing second and third level reads on the run pass concepts, those can cause some confusions and you getting the ball out quick. But in third and long situations or second and long, when you have to do pure drop back passing game, if you don't have guys up front who can create mismatches and number mismatches based on their ability to rush the passer, that secondary is going to be left out there covering a long time, and it's going to be they're going to get hung out to dry. And even a guy named Smoke might get smoked if he don't have no help from the D-line.
Well, let me pose something at you right now then, Carl. All right. So Carl Reed, head coach of pick a team in the NFL. We'll bring the Rams back to St. Louis. You have Lawrence Taylor and you have Deion Sanders sitting there. Tell me who you drafting.
I'm gonna draft LT because nobody can block him. Nobody can block him. I'm gonna draft LT.
Now you just got all reasons never to go back out to Colorado and show back up, because one guy just took away half the field and the other half was covered by water. But hey, listen, I'm gonna let you keep on running with your guys up front and playing wing tee football and all that. But I'm going to go ahead and give my man Prime his flowers right now. Coach, let's touch on this. All right? I'm going to give Prime his flowers just because he had the second highest GPA in Colorado University football history. Now, we've all read everything that's been negative in Colorado, and you've seen clickbait, and everything's going viral. I just want to give Prime and his support staff flowers for helping these young men in the classroom. he also has guys that's going to play in the NFL. And he's also done a tremendous job of selling out that stadium. My question to you, Coach Reed, and I know that's your dear friend. You didn't pick him a while ago when you had the opportunities to. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and give him his flowers, right? Give him his flowers in terms of what he's doing and changing the culture out there at Colorado. Coach, why hasn't this got as much traction as when guys are leaving his school?
Well, Smoke, because it's not negative. And to be totally honest with you, people really don't care about academics. The majority of people you deal with, they pay lip service to academics. And I'm going to get a bunch of parents and people in my DMs today that are going to say, Coach Reed, that's not right. I really care about academics, but Smoke, I look at thousands and thousands of transcripts every couple of months, and I can assure you that people paying attention to academics is more lip service. They care about football. They don't care that these young men locked in, he made them go to class and they made the honor roll. They want to see winning football on the field this fall. So it's one of those things. They're going to be quiet on this because academics is a great accomplishment. And the majority of kids that go to college and play ball are not going to go to the National Football League. And they do need that full scholarship education to fall back on and be able to do some other things. But this is a great accomplishment. But it's one that people don't care about because I can see what you're doing. I can't hear you. I hear with my eyes. And I know that people talk about academics being important, but they care about football much more.
Coach, you're now like Prime's number one guy in the world. If it's going on in Colorado, everybody knows that Carl, the most connected guy, knows what's going on. How important is academics to Coach Prime?
He's not playing about it. It don't matter who you are, man. You got to go to class. It's a non-negotiable. I've seen him suspend guys. I've seen him kick guys out of meetings. I've seen him not allow guys to practice, not go to the facility if they're missing class, if they're not doing the right thing academically and doing what they're supposed to do, if they're giving professors problems. Smoke, he tolerates no nonsense when it comes to people taking care of the academics.
Coach, I'm liking this subject right here, but there's a little bit of rumblings of a lot of changes that happen out in Colorado in terms of guys jumping out into the transfer portal. Was academics a strong part of why some guys left? Because Coach Prime was telling those guys flat out, you are going to class, and if you don't go to class, this is what's going to happen to you?
There were definitely a couple of academic casualties and guys who didn't want to do what he asked them to do in the classroom. And he's going to give you some chances to get through it, but he's not going to compromise what his morals are and what his principles are on feeling like you need to get an education. So I think that that's going to always be something that I'll give you an example. Players call me all the time. Parents call me all the time. Everybody wants the opportunity to go meet with Coach Prime, visit with him, or they want to be recruited by him. But I tell guys all the time, I know that you're seeing the videos on YouTube. I know that you're seeing the action, but you're going to have to go to class. You're going to have to be on time. You're going to have to follow rules. It's not a vacation. He is coaching in a real old school way that very few guys still do.
Now, Carl, listen now, it's Wednesday, but word on the street is you got something like lined up for us on Friday. What you got, man?
Hey, listen, we got a great guest coming in on Friday's show. Arizona State head coach and my guy, Kenny Dillingham. I am excited about him joining the show. One of the hot young coaches in the game. He's been on the staff also at Florida State. He's been the OC at Oregon. He's going to give us some great knowledge when he comes on. Everybody needs to be tuned in to Unfiltered on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central to make sure that you check out Kenny Dillingham. Make sure you tune in Friday. Smoke, you know what time it is. Flag.
Absolutely.
We got to throw some flags on some people today. I'm going to let you go first. Who you going
Well,
at?
Coach, right now you and I both know what time it is. It's camp season, OV season, but I'm going to touch on camp season. And when I was a general manager at University of Maryland, the number one thing that I hated was Head coaches, high school head coaches, trainers, handlers, telling young people not to perform at camps. That is the worst advice that you can ever give a young person trying to earn a scholarship. When they show up to these camps, you should do everything. You're there to compete. So if you're not going to run, you're not going to do particular drills, and all you want to do is come out there and do 7-on-7, I'm telling you right now, I would not take a skilled player if you didn't run. I'm going to give you my story, Carl. Back in 1998, I attended the University of Maryland football camp. Sean Merriam, Lights Out, and I was talking about this the other day. And I rode my bike up there. That's back in the days when they had 3 consecutive camps. I didn't have much going on. I had a few offers here and there, but it wasn't big time offers. I went out there. I rode my bike on Cherry Hill Road from Castle Boulevard, got to the Maryland camp. Everybody laughing at me. Oh, they get Smo here on his bicycle. I had no ride up there. My parents were working. I went to it, had my cleats over my shoulder. You know, old school cleats. Put them over your shoulder and go on in there. Went in there, got busy. Ran, did everything. Because for Coach Loxley, if you were a skill guy, you didn't run, you ain't getting no scholarship. By the second or third time through the county fair, Coach Mallory pulled me aside. Coach Loxley pulled me aside. Coach Gundy came up there because he had that recruiting area. And he said, listen, we're going to offer you a scholarship. So if you want to put on and show out, I'm telling you, show up to camp, perform, put on a show, leave no doubt in any evaluator's mind that you are the guy, and competing is what you do for a living. Coach, who you throwing this flag on?
Smoke, I got to talk about this. I'm throwing a flag on high school athletic directors who are blocking kids from playing because they transferred from their high school. Smoke, this is something that we deal with and that I hear about every year. I dealt with this as a high school coach, both coming in and going. High school sports is about allowing kids to play. You should not be an athletic director who is taking a personal agenda and using how you personally feel to try to prevent a young man or a young woman from being able to play high school football, basketball, soccer, tennis, whatever sport they play or activity at the school that they are transferring to. If their parents decide that they want to put them in a different situation, it doesn't matter if it's athletic reasons. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. You should be allowing those young people to move on, not trying to hinder them and take away opportunities for them. High school people and administrators better get this through their heads right now. You are seeing in real time, Smoke, the failing and falling of the NCAA through litigation. You are going to put your school, your district, your entire administration in frivolous lawsuits, and you're going to start getting sued for a lot of money from families who have the means to, because you're trying to prevent kids from playing high school sports, which is one of the purest forms of activity in America. So if you're a high school administrator, a principal, an athletic director, a superintendent, and you are doing anything to stop a young person from playing sports, that's nasty work. And I'm throwing a flag on the play.
Well said.
Smoke, we got a couple viewer questions we're going to get into. We got Dennis Scales right here. He says he's a Buckeyes fan for life, Smoke, but Chip Kelly has to prove himself to him as a Buckeyes coach. Smoke, what are your thoughts on Chip Kelly having to prove himself?
Well, Carl, you already know where I sit with the chip off the old block, Kelly. I don't think Chip Kelly has to prove himself to anybody in college football in terms of being a play caller and understanding how to score the football either on the ground or through the air. Marcus Mariota, LaMichael James. I mean, he's done it at every single stop that he's had. I wouldn't concern myself with that. The only thing I would concern myself with is sitting down and seeing how many points are being scored in Buckeye land.
It was a while back, Smoke. Everybody wanted to be like Chip Kelly. He was running 100 plays a game up and down the field. Oregon was what? They still got all the uniforms and all of that. Chip Kelly doesn't have anything to prove as a college play caller. We got Jordan right here. He wants to call you out, Smoke, on your running back room. He said the Miami Hurricanes have the best running back group in the country. How dare you?
Listen, Carl. All right. So when I was doing my research, close, because you got Damian Martinez just went there, Fletcher the second that went. That's there. That's one. My breakdown of running backs is you have to be a 3-down player. Both of those guys are very good running backs. But in order for me to understand and to give you your flowers or anoint you the best running back room, you at least got to give me 1,000 yards. You have to at least proven it. You have to have creative ability. And you have to be 1 or 2 in the country when it's all said and done in the next NFL draft. And I think Mr. Judkins and Travion Henderson will have the opportunity at the end of the year to be NFL players. I'm not saying those 2 young guys in Miami aren't, but the buck didn't stop here with that group. Judkins and Henderson, to me, hands down, bottom line, the best running back group in the United States in college football.
So you standing on your position.
I'm firmly standing on it.
Hey,
That Miami Hurricane fan, I'm solid with. I know they're going to do a good job, but nah, it's not comparable with those 2 guys. Those 2 guys can go anywhere in the country, line up and play, and easily walk out saying they're the best running back in that room. Other than Oklahoma State, that's only fair competition that either one of those guys will walk into a room and have to prove themselves.
Smoke, that's going to do it for us today. We out of here. You have just watched Unfiltered.